So students, in this video, I am going to be find out the refractive index of the glass slab as well as the lateral shift. So first of all, we will know what is refractive index. Refractive index is the ratio of velocity of light in vacuum to velocity of light in a medium. So in this activity, I am going to be find out the refractive index of this glass slab as well as when the light is passed through the glass slab, successively it is going to be undergoes into refraction. As of the result, the path of the light will be deviated when it is came out from the glass slab. So here the lateral shift is nothing but the perpendicular distance between the emergent ray and the direction of the incident ray is called lateral shift. So these things we are going to be find out by using this activity. So material required to find out the refractive index and lateral shift for this activity are glass slab, pencil, scale, protractor and pins. So first take the rectangular glass slab and place it over the white paper as shown in the figure. Now draw the outer surface of the rectangular glass slab with the help of the pencil. Now name the rectangular glass slab as A, B, C, D. Select any point on the surface AB. Name it as N. With the help of the protractor, draw a perpendicular line at the point N. Now this perpendicular line is indicating normal. Again, with the help of the protractor, take with the help of the protractor, measure 30 degrees. Here I selected 60 from 90. So 90 minus 60 is equal to 30 degrees. Now connect these two. Now let us consider this is as the incident ray having the angle of incidence 30 degrees. Insert the pins, insert the two pins on the incident ray at two different points as shown. Now place the rectangular glass slab as it is such a way that it is coincide with the surfaces A, B, C, D. Now after adjusting the rectangular glass slab at the vertices A, B, C, D, now we need to observe these two pins through the surface CD. Since I make the incident ray happened at the surface AB, as of the result, the emergence ray will be comes out from CD, and we need to insert the two pins by looking the two pins which I placed at P comma Q. So now I am going to be insert the two pins by looking the surface, looking through the surface CD. Here make sure that whatever the pins I am inserting, the inserting pins and the surface, the pins PQ should be lies on the straight line. Pause it. So in this way we need to adjust the pins. Pause. Whatever the pins I inserted, name them as R and S. Now remove all the pins and glass slab. Now join R and S such a way that it is going to be coincide with the surface CD. Now this RS will behaving like emergent ray. Now consider the point of incidence of RS on the surface CD as M. Now join M and N. This M and N behaving like refracted ray. Now with the help of the protractor, draw a perpendicular line on the surface CD at point M, which is behaving like normal. So this is N2 normal. Now with the help of the protractor, now I am going to be extend the incident ray direction. Now I am going to be extend the incident ray direction with the help of the scale. So after extension, it is clear that the incident ray direction and the emergent ray direction both are parallel. Now we need to measure the perpendicular distance between the direction of the incident ray and the emergent ray, which is called lateral shift. Now I am going to be measured the angle of emergence, which is the angle between the normal and the emergent ray. See, the angle is around 30 degrees. So the angle of emergent is 30 degrees and the angle of incidence also 30 degrees. So this is the angle of incidence, which is 30. With the help of the scale, I am going to be find out the lateral shift. The lateral shift value is around 1.2 centimeters. The lateral shift value is around 1.2 centimeters. So for the angle of incidence 30 degrees, I got angle of emergent as 30, as well as I am going to be measured the angle of refraction. The angle of refraction is nothing but the angle between the normal and the refracted ray. It is around 19 degrees. 90, 80, it is less than 70. That means uh, less than 20. Why? Because here I am going to be considered the scale from 90 to 70, right? So it is around 19 I am getting. So the angle of refraction is 19 degrees for the angle of incidence. Now, in the similar way, I made the angle of incidence as 30 degrees at the surface AB. So, this is 90 to 50, 90 to 50, 90 minus 50, which is equal to 40. Now, I got the angle of emergent on the surface CD by using the same procedure. By using the same procedure, 90 minus 50 is 40. So here the angle of incidence is equal to angle of emergent. In the similar way, I am going to be find out the angle of refraction at the surface A comma B. So at A comma B, the angle of refraction is 90, 80, 70, around 26 I got. So the angle of refraction is 26. The angle for the angle of incidence is the lateral shift for the angle of incidence 40 degrees is 1.5 centimeters. 1.5 centimeters. Now similarly, I took the angle of incidence as 45 degrees. For that, the angle of incidence is 45 degrees. The angle of refraction is the angle of refraction is 27 degrees. 90, 80, 70, that means 20 up to here 25, around 27 I got. The angle of refraction is 25, and whereas the angle of emergent is 45 I got. So here also I made the conclusion that the angle of incidence is equal to angle of emergent at most. Now the perpendicular distance between the emergent ray and the direction of the incident ray is I got as around 1.8. So this is 1.8 centimeters. Now I took the angle of incidence as 50 degrees. 90 to 40, 90 minus 40, it is 50. And I got the angle of refraction as around 30 degrees I got. So here 90 to 30, here it is a refracted ray. Now the angle of emergent I got as 90 to 40. So 90 to 40, around 50 I got. Coming to the lateral shift for the angle of incidence as exactly around I got 2 centimeters. In the similar way, I am going to be find out the lateral shift for 60 degrees of angle of incidence. Now 90 to 30, that means 90 minus 30, it is 60 degrees. Now the angle of refraction I am going to be find out. The angle of refraction I got it as around 30 degree, 36, around 34 or 35 I got. So the angle of refraction I got as 34. Now the angle of emergent is 90 minus 30, which is equal to 60. So angle of incidence is equal to angle of emergent. Coming to the lateral shift value I got it as around 2.8 centimeters. Now the conclusions from this activity are the angle of incidence is equal to angle of emergence irrespective of the angle of incidence. And the second thing, as the angle of incidence is increases, the lateral shift also going to be increase. These are all the conclusions. now i noted the now I noted the angle of incidence, angle of emergent, and angle of refraction lateral shift for every observation in the table. Now I tabulated the observations for every angle of incidence in the table, and also I calculated sin I, sin r, and the ratio of sin I to sin r, which is nothing but refractive index of glass slab. The mean refractive index of the glass slab, I got it as 1.506. Another conclusions from this activity are angle of incidence is equal to angle of emergence. As the angle of incidence is increases, the lateral shift also increases.